summer is over in a flash and you're on your way. But some part of me is hoping for tonight. It's not too late. My mind says yes, you've been here for quite some time. But my heart tells me you should stay a little while. Colors, love is for the ones who dares to wait. No use in running when all I really want is to make you stay. Mine says yes, you've been here for quite some time. But my heart tells me you should stay a little while.
For the final time, welcome back, everyone.
For the final time,
Michael.
welcome back, everyone. You're so dramatic, Nathan.
Hello, Pot. Kettle here. Pleasure to meet you.
You know, the feelings aren't mutual. And this scripted introduction to the next session, not wonderful yet.
Up next, a prestigious panel about integrating automation into service experience operations, brought to you by IBM Watson.
Nom, 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 nom. I can't wait to chew on that tasty little topic.
And Pam Oliver is back to moderate the discussion alongside Microsoft's Gabriela Massili,
who's also a valued CCW advisory board member.
That's right. Joined by Radha Sankaran, Verizon's Executive Director of Customer Experience, Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning-driven Personalization.
And IBM's AI CTO in Data and AI Expert Labs and Learning, Kristen Summers.
Pam, team, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pam Oliver with Fox Sports, and it is a pleasure for me to be here with you today. We are calling our panel that we're just about to begin, How to Integrate Automation into Service Experience Operations. Gabriela Massili, or G as we will call him today, and he likes to be called, is Chief Technology Officer for Customer Service and Support with Microsoft, and he leads the Digital and Data Support Business Unit in Customer Service and Support. He's responsible for digital customer support, business intelligence and data insights, and engineer advocate support technologies across CSS and the commercial AI support workstream across Microsoft. G, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Radha Sankaran is the Executive Director, Customer Experience AI and ML-driven Personalizations at Verizon. She is also leading the systems of where she is responsible for personalizing customer experiences through advanced analytics, AI, ML algorithms. Yes. You know what I'm saying, Radha, right? Kristen Summers, now she is AI CTO in Data AI Experts Lab and Learning at IBM. She's been working in artificial intelligence and data science with a primary focus on applied research for over 2 decades. Her work has focused primarily on natural language processing and related areas, making sense of human communications as they naturally occur. Before we begin, we are going to start by talking about this awesome, incredible field. Artificial intelligence presents one of the biggest opportunities for enterprises to deliver better, faster, and more effortless customer experiences, whether by a customer-facing chatbot or agent-facing support technology. Processing automation raises the standard for both the customer and the agent alike. Now, in this session, we will explore AI use cases across several enterprise organizations, automation technology beyond the hyped chatbot, and AI can drive engagement and empowerment from agents. G, as we begin with you, I want you to tell us a little bit more about your role. It seems like you have a lot of titles and your hands are in a lot of different areas.
Thank you, Pam. So yeah, I'm the Chief Technology Officer, so VP and CTO for all the technology that comes used at Microsoft to serve our customers through our use, consume, or support motion. So whenever we can enable customers to have a better experience using technology, when they need something from Microsoft, that's where my teams will play a role. Together with a number of other engineering teams across the company, obviously. So, and AI is part of what we do every single day. So it's one of the ingredients we use.
How is that currently driving your customer service, customer experience strategy, AI?
Well, it's whenever it's possible, we use AI to create more personalized experiences and to allow customers to feel the engagement, even if we are working through a piece of technology and not through a human being. We found that one of the key elements to create excellent experiences is when we can combine the best of the two worlds. So when we can have human ingenuity on one side and artificial intelligence on the other side coming together, that's where the ideal experience comes to fruition.
Kristen, explain your role a little bit more. We heard your bio, but talk a little bit more in depth about your role.
Sure. So I'm AI CTO in our Data and AI Expert Labs and Learning. So what we do is we provide services that accompany our software that supports data and AI. So all the way from AI applications, such as things like conversational AI that you might use in interacting in a customer experience, through a platform where you build your own AI, to the things that really support that by pulling together the data and helping you to collect and organize and manage it. I focus on our AI work, of course, and I will say that customer experience is a really major thread throughout that, both directly through things like conversational AI and direct customer experiences, and also a little more indirectly through enabling processes that create better customer experiences by letting you pull together the data and analyze it so you know what your customers need.
Radha, what about you? How artificial intelligence is currently driving your customer experience strategy? Tell us more about that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, within Verizon, especially in the consumer group, we are looking at data holistically through our customer journeys. And then based on the data that we see, we are trying to really personalize our customer experiences through algorithmic decisioning. And that area where we leverage AI, where we are able to really predict the intent of our customers, whether they are proactively or reactively engaging with us, and then be very prescriptive in how we want them as well. So we're using a combination of predictive and prescriptive analytics and AI to be able to decide on that next best decisioning or the next best experience for our customers. And that's primarily what my team's role is, to be able to engage with the different teams and be able to do, AI-based decisioning.
G, we think the number one most pressing question on the minds of our CCW audience is how effectively do you balance the power of technology with the skills and abilities of human employees? Can you share some of your tips into striking that balance?
Yeah, Pam, that is certainly a very hot topic for everybody in the industry, because in the end, the more we advance AI, the easier it is to fall into that temptation that AIs can actually replace the work that our experts have been doing. And in some areas, that may be true, especially when we're talking about transactional interactions that are where the humans don't really add too much value. But when it comes to complex scenarios, it is still always better to have a human expert interacting with the customers, creating that empathetic link and creating that relationship that makes a difference in the customer experience. So our balance is we identify the opportunities for repetitive tasks, things that are not adding value to the customer and to our experts, to be automated using AI as much as possible. And we leave the complex, more customer touch, where customer touch is required scenarios. Those are the ones that we put in the hands of our experts. The other element there is we always want to make the life of our support people easier as well, not only the life of our customers, because then they have more time to engage in proactive support motions, as an example. So freeing up some of their time, removing the repetitive tasks, makes their life easier and allow them more time to take care of the customers when that is really needed.
Kristen, for you too, could you share some of your tips on striking that all-important balance?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to echo what G said, that it's really not about replacing people. Our point of view is that AI augments human intelligence. And there are a lot of misconceptions when people think it's about replacing individual humans. But when we think about adoption of AI, think about the traits of your best agent and think about scaling those in the ways that we can to handle the low-level customer inquiries and figuring out how much the AI can do and where it needs to hand off to a human. So your best agent is knowledgeable, but also knows when to bring in experts, and they ask follow-up questions, and they know where to look if they don't get the answer immediately. And they help the customer complete the task, and they also know that sometimes the customer needs guidance. And a chatbot can do, or a conversational AI built out a little bit beyond a chatbot can do a lot of those things and also can recognize when it needs to hand off to an agent. So if I could just give a quick example, in work we did with GM Financial, a lot of their customer care comes in the form of live messages on their customer service app. And people text about things like, what is my current balance? Did you receive my most recent payment? Things like that. And they made a strategic decision a few years ago to use a conversational AI solution to answer those straightforward questions. So then COVID happened, right? And suddenly there's this huge infusion of questions, and a lot of them are new and different. But what happens is the AI can handle a lot of the more routine ones, right? So 50 to 60% of the requests the AI could handle, it could address, and it could handle those without needing human involvement in about 90% of the cases, right? So that frees up their agents to work with all of the new complexity that dropped on everyone when COVID-19 happened.
Rada, let me move that on to you unless you have something you want to add to what Kristen just said.
No, I totally echo both what Kristen as well as G said, which is really our strategy as well. The really complex scenarios and looking at our customer segments in terms of their loyalty, et cetera, towards us, we, kind of route those to specialized agents who can handle them. And really the simple ones that we can easily predict and prescribe the right action for them, we try to get them through our self-serve methods, yes.
This one to you as well, Rada. Let me ask you, AI presents significant opportunity for customer operations when it comes to customer-facing AI, such as chatbots and agents-facing AI, such as agent-assisted technology. Can you please tell us more about these opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. So, just taking into what we spoke earlier, right? You want to be able to look at those scenarios that are very, very simple, that through a conversational AI or a chat bot, you can really resolve for your customers. So, we take that as our first line of defense, an automated chatbot that can answer. And as you are answering, and as I mentioned earlier, our systems of insights is really gathering these customer journeys and touch points. And then we decide, okay, this looks like is a little bit more complex. Maybe we intervene through a live chat agent before we even get to a live agent, right? So you kind of give these different opportunities and stages of how you want to handle based on the data and what the complexity of the calls are, or the complexity of the problem that you're trying to solve for your customer. And then the highest level is really, look at your call complexity, look at your customer segmentation, and we also look at something called a quality experience score for our customers. It's a combination of our network and service scores that we look at, and we know at a rep level how good the quality experience score is. And then we make sure that we connect the right agent to the right customer to solve the right problem for them.
Well, gee,
So
advice
all
time.
of these.
Go ahead, please.
No, what I mean is, there's no one solution for everything, but we look at a combination of these and what the data presents and determine the right course of action.
Okay. I was going to say, gee, it's advice time for you. For organizations with little or no AI experience, how should they start? Where should they start?
There is plenty of opportunities now in the industry. I mean, we are not in the same place we were a few years ago, where actually the teams had to build their own AI solutions from scratch, like my group did. Now there are a lot of off-the-shelf solutions that are available. So organizations of any size can go and find one of those ready-to-go solutions that require very little customization. And the best ones are the ones that allow actually for personalization to be done by subject matter experts rather than by software engineers. So there are now solutions where you can have your content people or your support professionals going into and personalize the dialogues that the virtual agent is going to have, as an example, or the topics that it's going to cover, etc., in a very intuitive manner. So that is where I would recommend. And for the companies that don't feel good anyway to go and find something available in one of the technologies off the shelf, then there are plenty of outsourcing suppliers that became specialized in the use of artificial intelligence for support purposes, so they can guide you through the process and help you implement something while working with them directly.
Gotcha. Kristen, moving along to you again. Lots of mistakes been made when it comes to implementation of new technologies, and AI tech is no exception to that. What are some of the pitfalls of strategy and implementation of AI?
I think a lot of them fall into a category of thinking of AI as magic. We sort of have a little mantra, AI is not magic, right? And if you go in thinking, once I apply the AI, I don't need to do anything else, things can get very disappointing very quickly, right? So one of the ways in which you have to think about that, of course, is that AI outcomes are really only as good as the data you put in. So in many cases, people really have to think about getting their arms around their data. What data is coming in? What data do you want to provide in response? Those kinds of things to begin with. It's also important to think about that from two perspectives. It's both the data you're going to provide and it's the data you use to train the system. Most AI systems are going to be trained from a bunch of examples that you give it, right? So a common pitfall is not to have examples that are sufficiently representative. So it may learn really well one little corner of what you do because that was easy to get examples of, right? And not learn very well the breadth of what you need it to because those examples maybe only occur at certain times in the year and you didn't sample across the calendar or something like that. So it's just important to kind of think through what are the differences, what are the things that you're going to do. And then to start, I think usually small and incremental. I think that Radha talked about this a little bit, finding a particular thing that you can have the AI do and then building out from there. So often in a customer experience setting, that's a simple need, low-level need it can address. And then you can start to make it more complex. You can start to, give it a more complex dialogue flow and have it maintain context, but let that kind of build out from seeing some success and then seeing what's needed as a next step. The only other comment I would make is that it's often useful. Many people like to start internally and get comfortable with kind of how it's doing before they make before they make the AI externally facing.
So how will the role of traditional agents continue to evolve as a result of automation? Where you see that going, Radha?
I really think, traditional agents, honestly, it would be more of the ability to work very closely with agent assists, like even your conversational AI, right, that you have. The way I look at this is, as customers are interacting with chatbots or with a live agent, you want it to be a multimodal interaction. So, there are customers who are, while they are on with the chatbot, they're talking to the customer service agent as well. So it's important that you arm your agents also with that same level of technology and the visibility of what your customers have, because it's so easy to get multimodal these days, having conversational as well as regular chatbots working simultaneously. So our agents should definitely be very savvy in looking at the data that's available for them and really be more digitally engaged as well with the customers as they are engaging with the customers too.
G, would you agree with that?
Definitely, yes. So the distinction there between what the agents are best suited for and what AI is best suited for, again, it goes to how much a task is repetitive, how much a task can go over in similar variations of the same concept, and that is certainly a great candidate for AI. Whenever there are nuances, it's so much better to have experts addressing that. What we use is an 80-20 rule. So 80% of the cases we try to teach AI how to handle the 80% of more common cases, but for the 20%, as we call it, the long tail of variations, we let the human expert to deal with those, because it's so much better for a human to adapt to changes in the needs of the customers in real time, while you always need to retrain AI to be able to address those.
Obviously, we're living in a time, Kristen, of COVID-19, and it's obviously influenced all of our businesses in so many ways, particularly as it relates to accelerating transformation. What tech transformation priorities increased in importance due to COVID-19?
Yeah, I think COVID really accelerated a lot of things that were happening anyway, right? People need to make use of their data, they need automation, but COVID did a couple of things. Suddenly there was an influx of questions that people had of all kinds, both directly relating to COVID and relating to indirect effects, right? What's happening to my bill? Are things changing? Is your store open? Depending on, what kind of business you are, all those kinds of things. And then also, people's employees were working from home. And so there was a need for automation in many cases around that. So both of those things happened at the same time. And so people have been turning to AI for a lot of those things. And in our case, one of the things we did was put together very quickly a bot that could answer some core questions about COVID from very reliable sources like the US CDC. And we worked with government entities and healthcare providers, and also with commercial establishments where the questions might not be so much like, tell me about the disease, but again, things like, well, what are the effects on your business? How do I interact with you? To start putting those things in place and help kind of relieve some of the burden that was coming in on their agents. And, some of those things can be done very quickly in kind of the ways we were talking about before. We did a very quick thing with a provider where we followed the protocol they'd already established in order to help parents actually recognize symptoms in their kids and give advice. And then some of them are much broader. But I think mostly it's brought things to the fore that were happening and made people decide very quickly, created a need to very quickly go to automation in places where you might otherwise have done it very gradually.
What do you see as your organization's next step in automation innovation? G?
It goes into making it broader, basically. So leveraging what are the current opportunities and continue to expand. 2 years ago, when we started most of our automation journey, we had to build the technology from scratch. Now those same technologies we made available to other customers to use off the shelf. And now we are on to the next phase, which is what we are calling Know Me, which is basically creating experiences that are tailored to each individual customer so that they can get immediately what they need from the support transaction and from the, in general, what we call advisement, so the ability to inform customers how to do more with the products they're already using, with the services they're already subscribed to. So keep them constantly informed about what they would want to know from what Microsoft is providing for them. Those are the two main areas where we're focusing our next efforts.
Radha, your thoughts?
Yeah, for us, we're looking to see how can we really deploy AI at scale. We've started a lot from a service perspective, but how do we start enabling AI or personalized experiences leveraging AI in our sales and our marketing space, our products? How do we leverage, all of these different pillars and use AI to drive experiences across these different verticals? That's one aspect of it. But we're also looking at really taking AI at scale for a lot of the back office work that we end up doing. How can we automate a lot of them using robotic process automation? And the supply chain activities that we do, because ours is, clearly a lot of inventory related for our devices and accessories and the products that we sell within Verizon, especially in the wireless space that we have to, right? So, how can we do a lot of that, predicting inventory and making sure we have the right stores, enabled in the right, with the right amount of inventory. COVID actually was very, very disruptive for us because, the wireless industry, especially for us, our retail stores played a huge role, and we had to kind of shut down a big portion of our retail stores and depend on digital as our first mode of, sales and service. So that was a huge disruption for us, right? So we're looking at how an in-store pickup became a big deal and our express stores became a big deal. So, really figuring out how we can leverage data and AI to push us more towards what COVID really led us, because that's a good way for us to go as well. And, really deploy this at scale with automation.
Next step, Kristen?
Yeah, so I think about the AI we provide as sort of a series of steps, right? So first you have kind of simple, more transactional bots. Then you have broader conversational AI where you might have complex dialogues and context. Then you start to do things like, I don't remember, it was Giorrata was talking about predicting what people are going to need, analyzing what's happening in those interactions and coming up with how they indicate what else is needed in your customer experiences or how to make them better, as well as how to make those individual conversations more effective.
Sure. Well, panel, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's been so informative. I've learned so much, and I hope the participants who watch this and see this will also learn a great deal. It's been a great time for me. I appreciate it. And to all of you, please be safe and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And because, Michael, this is our final day here at CCW at home.
We're aware.
And it's the last chance to meet our virtual exhibitors.
It's also the last chance to rack up big points.
We're giving all of you a chance, people who aren't in the top 15 positions on our leaderboard, to get on that list.
If you enter a virtual trade show booth and network right now, you will earn not 10, not 100,
not 110,
but 1,000 points.
That's a lot of points. And if you're already in the top 15, well, this is a chance for you to really lock in your position.
And I remind you, there's no better place than our virtual expo hall to learn and source solutions that your contact center needs right now.
That's right. You said no better place on planet Earth, I think is what you said.
Yeah, maybe even outside of planet Earth, to be honest with you, Nathan.
Okay, very good. Anyway, our concierge desk will be open again right now from 3 until 4 p.m. Eastern time.
From 3 to 4, and our very own Sandy Coe and Mario Matalich can guide you through the expo hall right from there. They put on their walking shoes.
They did. Like tour guides, museum docents of the virtual exhibit hall.
You know, there was a time I was doing a virtual exhibit hall tour once, and I forgot to buckle my Birkenstocks. It didn't end well.
That's right. And just to remind everyone, the next hour is your very last chance to steal the game, climb the leaderboard, and claim an awesome prize during our closing. Oh, gosh.
We are pulling our scores at 3:45 p.m.
When?
Eastern
Eastern time.
3:45. What time, Nathan?
3:45 Eastern time. You're pulling the scores at 3:45 Eastern time.
Get to it.
Today's our last day. Okay.
This is it.
So we'll see you back here at 4 p.m. Eastern time for the closing. Oh, that means today's our last day, Michael.
I'm aware. Also, it's our prize drawing.
We've been literally talking about that for the last 2 minutes. Anyway.
See you at 4.
The whole hour start now. We'll see you.
Do it now.
Bye-bye.